All right, so now I'll go ahead and present my screen. And it looks like in between here, I ended up closing out one of the tabs. This is what we're going to be talking about today. If you're not familiar with what Cami is a PDF and document annotation tool, and it's collaborative, and it's, got a lot of different tools that a lot of people like. Some of you have probably already started working with Cami. Um, I say that because this is one of the larger groups. Just out of drawing a name out of the hat, probably somebody has at least heard of it or has been using it for a little bit. But I figured today we would take a look at it for the people who haven't seen it yet, and take a look at pretty much how it looks from the student side as well. So um, basically, Cami gets pitched a lot of times as an answer for how you could do worksheets, except do them digitally. And this is something that you can use if your students have a touchscreen or don't, because there are options available for each. And we're going to take a look briefly at what Cami can do later on down this. So we're just going to kind of go through the process of how you get set up to use Cami, and what using it looks like, and what it looks like from the student end when they're submitting the work back to you. So it is an option to just go ahead and sign off of the camiapp.com page and use the document annotator directly from it. But one of the ways that it really works best is if you're using Google Chrome as your browser. And remember, Google Chrome is the one that has this icon right here. It's the one that's got the circular icon with the red, green, and yellow, and then the blue in the center. That's how you know you're using the Google Chrome browser. And once you've got Google Chrome opened up, you can take a look at the top right here. Get real zoomed in. At the top right of the corner of your Chrome window, you can take a look at, you click on this icon right here. If you're signed in, it'll have your name. If you hover over it, it might have a couple of letters representing your name. It might have an icon if you've added an image to your Google profile. But definitely the number one way to find out if you're signed in properly is when you click on that, does it show your name and the @willistonschools.org email address? If it shows, if the icon in the corner shows like a silhouette of like a person, but it doesn't have initials, or it doesn't have a custom image that you put on there, it means you're not signed into Google Chrome. So you just click on that, and there'll be a sign in button here instead of your username. The other thing you want to look for is this sync is on. Notice right here. If it's got a button down here that says turn on sync, you'll want to follow the process on that to get the sync turned on. So you pretty much just click there, and then it'll ask you if you want to sync data. You click on sync data, and then the next pop-up says some big long-winded thing. You just need to know to click the yes, I'm in button, and then it'll start syncing. All of your browser, all of your bookmarks get saved to your cloud profile. And you also will get all of the extensions that we push out, one of which is the Cami extension. And without this extension, you don't get some of the nice little features that Cami adds. You basically would have to log into Cami and then do everything through links. Everything I'm going to show you today kind of hinges on making sure that this Cami extension is added to your browser. So if you're not seeing the Cami logo up here, then you can click on the little puzzle piece, and you can see the extension in the list of the extra things that don't show up here. Other benefits to being logged into Chrome are you get things like Screencastify, which it's just a tool that a lot of people find really useful. There's other things that get added on in there as well. So it's just really useful to be signed into Chrome for a number of different reasons. But once you're signed into your wilsonschools.org account and you get that Cami extension, then anytime that you open up PDF in Google Drive, you can see this right at the top where it says open with. If I click on that, one of the options is going to be annotate with Cami. So basically every PDF that you have in your Google Drive, you just click that open with Cami and it will allow you to annotate directly on top of the PDFs. But what we're going to look at today is actually using this with with students. So I've got a test course set up here with a student that I have the access to the student account. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the classwork tab, and I'm going to create an assignment just like I normally would with Google Classroom, except instead of an assignment, I want a Cami assignment. This is one of those things that gets added with the Cami extension is it puts it directly into your Google Classroom options that you can just use Cami. So I'll click on that, and you'll notice that the dialog looks a little bit different because, for one, this is like a dark mode um, sort of pop up here rather than the regular light mode one that Google typically puts. We're going to go ahead and call this one, this is blue team right now, right? Yes, blue team. So blue team test 1. And just like a normal Google Classroom assignment, you can put your instructions in here. You can attach files, but we're going to show what changes when you attach files with a Cami assignment. So we're going to go ahead and here's where you put your instructions. And you can change your point total like normal. You can add a due date like normal. You select your date and time. You can add a scheduled time if you wanted this assignment to go out tomorrow rather than today, or later on in the week or next week or whatever. You can organize it into a topic as you would be able to with any other assignment. The differences are down here where you have your attach options. They look the same, but they act slightly differently. We'll get into that last. Down here, you have a checkbox for send Cami instructions to students. I would leave that checked the first couple of times that you assign an assignment out in Cami, because it does provide students with a page full of instructions on how to complete the assignment. So it saves you the step of having to put that in yourself. And then also check that add links to open with Cami. Even though it's a beta feature, it seems to work pretty well. And basically that just provides the students with a direct link to their assignment in the attachments area. Up here, you might have noticed there's a thing that says feature restrictions. And the features that it's talking about are the ones that actually are available to students in Cami. So if you have everything on, they're able to use every single feature of Cami. But if you wanted to restrict them to specific tools, you don't want them to necessarily be able to use the text-to-speech because, or the dictionary, because maybe you're doing like an English assignment or something and you want them to be able to annotate the definitions themselves without having the computer look it up for them. You could turn everything off except for just the tools that you want them to use. So for this example, I'm going to leave all the tools on because I want to be able to demonstrate what the tools offered by Cami are. But you can go in and you can turn them all off and then turn them on to just the ones that you want. Now we're going to actually attach the files. So the paperclip is attaching something that's on your hard drive. So if you have your PDF on your hard drive or you have your document on your hard drive and you don't already have it in Google Drive, you can use the paperclip to select the file from your hard drive. I'm going to pretend that I already have the file in my Google Drive. And by pretend, I mean the file that I'm going to use is out already in my Google Drive. So I'm just going to click on the Google Drive icon, and that's going to open up the Google Drive page. And you can see right here, it gives you a couple of different options for narrowing down the files that you want to use. If, for instance, the file that I want is a PDF, I can click onto PDFs, and then I can just scroll through and find the PDF that I want to use. So let's go ahead and select that PDF. However, it doesn't have to be a PDF. We've actually found that it can be any sort of Google Doc, and several of the MS Microsoft Office document types have also worked for this. So just select the file that you want to use as your worksheet, and then click on the select down at the bottom left. And rather than making just adding the document as an attachment, it adds it as a CAMI attachment. So, this is a CAMI PDF, and anytime you use another type of document, it automatically converts it to a PDF rather than keeping it as the same type of document. So that's just something to be aware of, is that anytime you do this, you're going to make the file into a PDF, regardless of what the file type was at the beginning. Also of note, over on the right side, the default is that it makes a copy for each student. Now, ordinarily, when you attach a file to an assignment, it doesn't do that. It doesn't make a copy for each student. But when you're using CAMI, it's assuming that you're going to want students to make annotations to that document and then return or submit that document back to you. So in this case, it's set the default for make a copy for each student, which is, the one where it makes a copy for each student, and then students have the permission to edit each of those copies. So, it's very nice that that is the default when you make a CAMI assignment. So once I click assign here, it's going to go ahead and make the assignment. This does take slightly longer than a regular Google Classroom assignment, but it'll probably finish up by the time I finish this sentence. And so right here, it's showing that the assignment is created, and you can go ahead and open it up to see it in your Google Classroom. And you can see that even though we only attached that one file into it, we've got the CAMI and Google Classroom instructions attached to this due to the checkbox that we added. Here's the file that we added. This is actually like the template file. So like this is your master document, and then this would be the link to the student version of the file. So when we switch over to the student view, they're only going to see these two items. And we're going to go ahead and switch over to that student view now, actually. And we're going to go ahead and, the student opens up the page. They see the new assignment has been added to the list here. And they'll see that they can click on the link for the instructions here. And sometimes you don't get the tools at the top, but this is a Google Doc. It's a very heavily frequented Google Doc, so sometimes it just shows up like this. Other times it shows up with all the Google Docs tools at the top that you would normally expect. Right now it looks like it's under heavy traffic, so they just get the basic file, but that's exactly what they need. Now there are some things that this document shows will happen for students that won't happen during this example. For instance, adding the extension, it's not going to happen during this example because the extension is already added. First off, because this is a wilsonschools.org account that is signed in with Google Chrome. So because this student has already signed into Google Chrome with their wilsonschools.org email address, they already have that CAMI extension. And for whatever reason, it's not showing up, but it does normally show up, I believe. But if it does ask a student to add the extension, then they should go ahead and click Add Extension. Then they will be able to go to Google Classroom and click on the link to open it with CAMI. When they get into the Cami page, it will ask them permission to allow Cami to access their Google Drive. And they'll need to do this for Cami to work. First time that they're signed into Cami, it will also ask, what are you using Cami for? They need to select K-12 school and pick the student role. And then they have the turn in button, which actually looks a little bit different than what they've got in this document. But in general, most of the steps in this document are pretty accurate. So here's what it'll look like when they actually click open with Cami. When they click this link, they can also click this link and click that open with Cami option at the top. But this will take them directly to their document. So I would recommend using that link rather than the one in the usual place. So this is what the document viewer and annotation tool part of Cami actually looks like. You can see on the left side, we have all of our different tools that are available. And up in the top, we have our usual options for dealing with shared documents, things like open file, share document, print, and then there's the turn in button, which we're going to be making use of in a little bit. You also have your Zoom tools at the top. You have some options here for like renaming the file or moving the file to a different directory. But in general, a lot of this you can kind of just ignore because Google Classroom does a pretty good job of keeping track of files regardless. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select some text here. And one of the nice tools that Cami has here is this text-to-speech.
All workplaces can take the following infection prevention measures to protect workers.
And there are different options on here, like you can speed it up or slow it down, and you can change the voice. You can have it loop or play again. Click this one and it'll just read the whole page. Another tool in here that's kind of nice is dictionary, where if you select the dictionary tool and just click on a word, it'll give the definition for the word. But then you have your typical, annotation tools. Like right here, we have a text highlighter where if I select text, it'll just highlight it. And you can pick your own custom colors. So if you wanted to highlight in a different color, you can do that. If I switch the underline tool and then highlight a different portion, it'll underline that in a specific color. A lot of good stuff here for, some of our note-taking practices. We have a comment tool here. So if I click on the text comment option and find a spot on the page that I want to add a comment to, I can add a comment on the side of the page so that it doesn't overlap with anything that's on the page. And you can change the color of the pointer. So if we've got a couple of different ones that are in the same up and down portion of the page, the comments on the side, they'll stack up and down, but like when you roll over it with your mouse, it'll play that little animation over on the left side there, over on the right side on this one, and it'll show you which portion of the page is relevant to the comment. We've got a couple of other options of different types of comments that you can put onto a page. Like right here, we've got voice comment, and if I select that tool and click somewhere on the page, it automatically starts recording. It starts right as soon as I drop that pin. And then all I have to do is click that stop button and that'll finish out the recording. And so that'll leave an audio comment on the page, which is extremely useful, especially when you're returning work to students. If you wanted to explain with a voice comment or a video comment what was going on in a different part, explaining why their answer was incorrect or complimenting them on a correct answer, you can do that through voice or video directly from Cami. And you just click on the play button here and it automatically starts recording, and you can, listen back to the recording. If the voice recording was not recorded correctly, it's pretty much just click the X here, and it'll remove that recording. Of course, now I want to put another recording back there so that you can see it when you see it from the teacher side. You've got your text box, which works like text box tools in a lot of other programs. You can change the colors on that. You can change the font size, and you can resize the box so that it fits into the available space. An equation tool, that's basically just a text box, except it's got a symbol insert panel. Still, I would say that the equation editor is not quite as intuitive for most students as the drawing tool would be. So as long as the student has some sort of a touch screen available to them, they can use this drawing tool, and it's probably going to be easier for them to write equations than with the equation tool. But if they have to use the equation tool, they can use the equation tool to create the equation that they're looking for. For many different simple math functions, it's pretty easy to just write out what you're doing. But a lot of math operations that are higher order, dealing with square roots or actually showing the work, that could probably be easier accomplished by drawing or by pen and paper. And then taking a photo of it with the phone, and then adding the photo into the PDF, which you can actually do through the Add Media portion. If you click on the Add Media tool, you can select My Computer or Google Drive if you've already got the image in Google Drive. So we're going to go ahead and grab an image from my Google Drive, oh, right, because this is the student's account, I don't actually have any images on it. Let's go ahead and pull one off of my computer here. We'll go ahead and use this one, and we'll just drop that photo in there, and then we'll resize it so that it fits the space appropriately. That ends up working better in many cases for many students than the equation, or if they don't have a touch screen, then drawing is kind of out of the question. You can just drop that in by taking the picture from your Google Drive and adding it in there. Of course, I did it from my computer because I'm using an account that doesn't have images. Down here, we've got the signature tool, which, like, if you already put in a signature, then you can just draw the signature or upload the image and use that to sign your documents. Not necessarily as important for student work, but that is something that is there. In here, we've got our shape tool. We can just drop down a shape arbitrarily. We've also got the drawing tool, where you can go ahead and draw on the page, circle things, write out if you're using a touch screen. A lot of different options available there. The eraser tool will erase everything, everything that is drawn on here. You can switch between drawings and shapes or all annotations. So if you really needed to get rid of a different annotation on here, you just switch to that version of the eraser, and it's gone. So that's basically all of the different tools in Kami. I'm going to take a quick pause right here to let people ask questions. You can ask questions at any time in the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question right now. Okay, I haven't seen anybody click the unmute button, so we're going to go ahead and turn this assignment in. So you can go right up to the top right and click on that Turn In button. It'll ask you to confirm right here. And so then I'll go ahead and click Turn In. And now it's going to save all of that information to Google Drive. And if I were to take a look at the file in Google Drive, it'll actually show up with all of the different annotations on it, even though I'm not looking in Kami. So let's go ahead and take a look at the one that we just submitted now. You can see right in here, we've got a few different, some of the things don't look correct, but you just still have the link to the audio comment, and you still have the annotation that is still in here. I believe these would be from the deleted annotations or the deleted comments, and all of the annotations that were actually on the page are saved onto the page. So that's just what it looks like from within your Google Drive. And for students, if they want to go in and look at what's in their Google Drive, they just go to the classroom folder, and then they go to the folder for the class that they're working in. That's just kind of how things are kept tidy by Google Classroom. So now we've done everything we can do here as a student. We can see that the dialog changed in Classroom so that there's the unsubmit button. So that means, as a student, I have turned this work in, and it is ready for my teacher to go ahead and grade it. And so as the teacher, I'm going to go over to the Student Work tab for this assignment. This is just one way that you can get to it. The other way, obviously, would be going through the to review section, or going to the class and going to classwork, and then finding the assignment here. I can see that I have one assignment that's been turned in, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at it. I can do that by clicking on the name of the student, or I can do that by clicking on the icon here, and it'll take me to the grading page, which has the Kami annotation tool right in here. Your students, you can switch between your different students up here, and over on the right side, you have your grading panel. So as a teacher, I can go in and start adding my comments exactly the same way as the students were adding comments to this. That includes, like, I can put my video comment down and just sort of explain things through. Down here, there's an option for adding stickers. This is probably something that's going to appeal to a lot of people. Just sort of have a spot for a sticker that you can put at the end of the page. We'll go ahead and grab this sticker here, and we'll just go ahead and drop that down. And I have put the Creative Genius sticker on my students' work. So kind of like a replacement for a gold star there, So we'll go ahead and grade this one, let's say 48 out of 50. We can add our comments here as well, just as we would with any other Google Classroom assignment. And then once I'm done grading, I'll click return, and this will be sent back to the student. So once that's sent back to the student, I can pop that open again, and we'll refresh the assignment page here. And now I can see that my work was graded, and I can click on either of these to actually view my teacher's annotations. So might not have shown up yet, but I'll click on the Open with Kami one, and it'll show from the student's perspective that the teacher has put their own annotations onto this page as well. So there is an awful lot of stuff that you can do with Kami, and hopefully, going through this step by step has shown you how to get going with Kami. Does anybody have any questions about how to work with Kami at this point? And I'm not seeing anyone unmuting, so I'm going to assume that that was pretty straightforward. Or maybe you're gonna take a look at the recording later and sort of follow along. Oh, where do I begin? Okay. So yeah, I'll go ahead and stop the recording at this point, because I think that this was covering everything that yeah, it pretty much covered all of the questions that had previously been asked throughout the day. So we'll go ahead and pick up with this group's questions after the recording is stopped. So to anybody watching the recording, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.